Good evening and welcome to the Inside Line Racing official YouTube channel. We are here for live coverage of ILR1's Azerbaijan Grand Prix, round 4 of the championship, and with 3 different winners from this season so far, it has certainly proved to be one open championship thus far. We have 20 drivers out here on the racetrack today, so a full house is great to see. So from the opening 3 rounds of the season, Ashbest, Doom and BSR Blizzard have all won races, but it is KB Killer who leads the early standings on 48 points with a 3-point advantage to TTG Lambo, and then on 41 points we have Doom, Blizzard on 40 and Ashbest making up the top 5 on 36 points. The full championship standings can be found on the official Inside Line Racing Twitter and website. And then, having a look at the Constructors' Championship, McLaren, what a start they've made. Blizzard and KB Killer have been the irresistible duo so far in this championship. As we look at some of the early on-track action, Blizzard on his outlap, looking to follow up on that fantastic win back in China last week in round 3, as we follow him through the castle section. So McLaren on 88 points, that being Blizzard and KB Killer. Their nearest challengers at the moment are Kalik and Doom from the Sauber team on 49 points, and also on 49 points for the Haas team is TTG Lambo and Matt. Then making up the top 5 in the Constructors' Championship is CT Brain and Ashbest, and then there's quite a gap from 4th to 5th. The Mercedes duo of Frisky and Cliffy on 25 points. So a warm welcome to everybody who has joined the chat. I hope this is a nice little teaser before the real Formula 1 race later on, where we could see a certain Lewis Hamilton become a 5-time champion in the United States Grand Prix. But enough about real life Formula 1. This is where the business is at hand, and this is a very unique challenge, the Baku circuit. We've been racing here since the 2016 Formula 1 season, and it's a mixture of, you know, right angle turns in sector 1, then that infamous castle section, which has proven to be really troublesome for all the drivers early on, and then the blast of one of the longest straights in Formula 1, which does make this track really difficult to set up for. You have to really set up the car, you know, sort of hang on there through the first 2 sectors, but then have, you know, not too much downforce, otherwise you will be a sitting duck in the final sector. So no times on the board yet. We have only just started qualifying. It's a very long lap here. And in terms of the times, well, I think we're going to be looking, you know, somewhere in the 1 minute 30s, I think. And in case you think I've suddenly developed a completely new accent, no, this is not Ginger Andy. He is not here this evening, unfortunately. He's not feeling too well. So I hope you're watching this, Andy, and speedy recovery. I hope to commentate with you for next week's Spanish Grand Prix. But I will hopefully be an able replacement here for what hopefully is another entertaining race. So Pletix has already retired from the session. So what happened there? He must have had an incident somewhere. I hope they patch it in so you can actually see retired cars again like 2017, because it just makes it so difficult to tell sometimes what's happened to a car. Now I'm just going to have to share some of the stream here. Okay, there you go. So the early pace then, a 1:36.972. So I reckon we will be looking at times maybe in the low 36s and mid 35s, judging by that early pace. In terms of the strategy, well, traditionally in F1 2016 and 17, this was a one-stop race. Tyre wear isn't that much of an issue compared to the 2 previous rounds at Bahrain and China. So I think most drivers will be going aggressive, going onto the ultra softs in the top 10. The alternate strategy, well, it is possible to stretch out the super softs and the ultra softs if you go for that. So we may not see too much use of the soft compound. But again, different game. So it may work out to be something slightly different. So let's see if we can pick up one of the drivers. Lewis in the pits at the moment. What about Doom? Is he on the lap? Doom, who so impressively won that race in Bahrain. He's heading towards the end of Sector 2. We're going to go away from the onboard because unfortunately we still have the lawnmower sound engines. They have to patch that at some point. And well, for those of you in the chat, what are your predictions for pole position and, more importantly, the top 3 in this race? We've had 3 different race winners, so it has proven to be a really hard to predict championship so far. No one's really put a stamp on it. we could yet have a few more rounds to go before we really get a good idea. As Joom sets a 1:37.063 on the Ultrasofts. Let's see, have a look at the gaps then. So very tight top three so far, with KB Killer not far behind, and that's actually on the Super Soft. So a very good time by KB Killer early on. Yellow's in sector 1, but I think that's for cars slowing down to get out of the way of the faster cars. So TGG Lambo having the early advantage here, a 1:36.972. So let's switch to someone else as CSR Leon returns to the pits. A good start session to this 6-kilometer circuit. We take the lap here, 49% full throttle. I dare say the majority of the full throttle action is from the end of sector 3 and the first part of sector 1. They're the two main straights, and the rest of it's quite technical. So as I was mentioning earlier, when you set up the car, it's quite tricky. In some respects, it's not far off what you would set up the car for at Monza, which might sound strange because at this track there's a lot more heavy braking zones than there is at Monza, for example. Monza really only has, 2 heavy braking zones, whereas this one has several more than that. But you can't have too much downforce here because sector 3 is so important, and the final corner just after sector 2, turn 16, is probably the most important corner on the track, because if you get a poor exit out of there, then it just ruins your momentum. And as you build up the speed through 17, 18, 19 and 20, and then go through the DRS detection zone once they get into lap 3, if it is a dry race, then if you lose that momentum, it's very, very difficult to defend the position. So only 12 cars setting a lap time so far, so let's try and get on board with Gunanan. Is he on a lap at the moment? Yep, seems like he is, so let's carry on with him then. So then, we're on the second of the DRS zones between turn 2 and 3. Watch for the markables on the right hand side, try and slow the car down. Then running slightly wide there, but I don't think he would have lost too much momentum. Now some of the curbs here are quite vicious. You don't want to take too much curb on some of them. They're quite raised up and it can really unbalance the car if you take too much curb here. Then going through turns 5 and 6 now, and then heading towards the end of where sector 1 used to end, because we've actually gone through it already, and then into the infamous castle section, which may get a few victors. Oh, Gran getting very close to the walls there. And then through turn 12, quite easy to run wide, but it's strange. It's a strange corner really, because if you run wide there, you don't really lose too much momentum there. So a lot of drivers might actually opt to just go wide and take the speed. Here's another of those raised curves I was talking about. Oh, and there you go. Took too much of it, and he tapped the wall slide, and he would have lost a few tenths off the back of that. Through sector 2, runs wide again. This hasn't been a particularly good lap from Gunanan, but let's see if he can get into the top 10 with it. What has he got fitted on? He's got Ultra Softs fitted on at the moment, and then this long straight. We're going to see so much wheel-to-wheel action here. We could get 2, maybe 3, maybe even 4 wide at time here. So Gunanan crosses the line, and it's actually good enough for 5th. So despite that error just before the end of sector 2, it's still good enough to get into 5th. So decent effort from the Ferrari driver. Now what else? What about who else is on the lap? What about It's Me? Is it me? It's Me is heading towards the end of the lap, I think. So what's It's Me going to do? It's Me goes into 6th, just behind Gunanan. So that's a good effort. And Blizzard still hasn't set the time. So let's see what Blizzard is up to. Yeah, Blizzard through sector 2 he is at the moment. And heading towards turn 7, trying to get the car slowed down. The orange McLaren looking absolutely splendid as they go through this ancient part of the city of Baku. Yellow flags up ahead as someone binned it, this vicious fast corner here. Green so he can carry on. As we get that lovely McLaren tone of the lawnmower. Down to the end of sector 2 then. Blizzard won fantastically at China last week, and he will certainly be looking to repeat that. So just as a reminder, we've had 3 different winners from the opening 3 rounds, so no repeat winners yet. So can Blizzard be the first to achieve that? But there is so much talent and competition in this field, it could be a while before we get a repeat winner with so many rounds in this season. Blizzard gets a nice toe from the McLaren ahead. I don't know if that was on purpose, but that's a 1:35.797. He is absolutely blitzed the competition for now. Over a second clear of TGG Lambo. So I'm not sure if McLaren did that on purpose, but KB Killer and Blizzard teaming up really nicely there. So that's put Blizzard in a really good position for the time being, but I'm sure some of the other drivers will be capable of getting into the 35s. But because of that, how long that straight is, if you can team up like that, the drive behind is going to get an almighty toe, and it can make, several tenths of a difference. So good work from McLaren there. Is there anyone else? Ash Best is on an outlap. Lewis W03 then. What about the reigning champion? Is this the beginning of a lap? Looks like it could be. Nickel Block's on an outlap as well. Cliffy as well. Cliffy's 2.6 seconds off the pace. But that was on the softs, of course, so obviously just getting a feel of the track. So then Lewis flying through the opening corner. Gets it slowed down just enough. So let's carry on then with Lewis W03. So quite an interesting qualifying session so far. TGG Lambo has closed the gap a little bit. Just over 7 tenths behind. That is still a considerable gap though to Blizzard. Francis in third, Leon in fourth, and June making up the top 5. But KB Killer still in the top 10, 6th on the Supersauce, which may give him a tactical advantage if he can stay there. But KB Killer has now gone on to the Ultra Softs, and he's just gone 4th position, exactly a second off his teammate. So, goodness me, Blizzard's lap seems a bit untouchable at the moment. We've got just over 5 minutes of the session to go, and Lewis is actually on the soft compound. So Lewis going for a different kind of strategy. So let's see, what can the Red Bull driver do? What can the reigning ILR1 champion do? I mean, how fantastic was he last season, but it's been a bit trickier for him so far. He had that brake-by-wire failure in Australia, which was bizarre, frankly, for that to happen. And then he got couple of points in Bahrain, and then he retired at China. So it's not been an ideal situation for the Red Bull driver so far, and he's going to get a nice tow from the car up ahead unless he pits. Still, yeah, that's going to be a decent tow. So will this be enough for Lewis getting to top 10 on the softs? That would be some effort. It's good enough for 13th, which still isn't too bad, but look how much difference there is between the compounds. He's nearly 2 seconds behind, even with a tow on the current pole sitter, Blizzard. Now let's switch our attention to the battle for pole position. Joom, well, apparently this does not look like a time at all, so he might be going for another run. Might have made a hash of it somewhere. What about KB Killer? KB Killer is on a run. This looks like an in lap, so we'll switch. What about Ash Best? He was on a lap. Ash Best then coming out of the penultimate corner. Is this a flying lap? Let's see then. He's got another car behind him. That's a Sauber. That's a Sauber of Calic, I believe. Yes, Calic getting a nice tow from the Renault. No, he's not that close to him actually. So Ash Best carries on. Is Ash Best going to pit? Yep, he is indeed. So Ash Best still doesn't have a time on the board. And I think the other Sauber of Calic's pitted as well. So just under 4 minutes of it until this session ends. Let's see then. Frisky on that. Frisky pits. So yeah, it's a bit of a lull in the proceedings before we get the final runs of this qualifying session for the ILR1 Azerbaijan Grand Prix. So at the moment, your top 10, Blizzard, Lambo, Joom, Francis, KB Killer, the 2 Toro Rossos in 6th and 7th, Gernan in 8th, It's Me in 9th, and Matt Tebos in 10th. 1.6 seconds between the top 10. So anyone going for something different? So Gernan has fitted the Super Softs, and Matt Tebos has them fitted as well. So it could be possible some of these drivers might be sandbagging a little bit and maybe looking to qualify on the top 10 on the Super Softs, and we see the McLaren pitting out the pits. That is Blizzard, I believe. So a very interesting session so far in this race. And just under 3 minutes of this session to go. It's going to be a tense final entry. Calm before the storm then. Grid position can be very important here, because usually in the Azerbaijan, if you're high up the grid, you do tend to have a better result. And they're all coming out now. Actually, that was KB Killer coming out of the pits. Both Renaults coming out. CC Brain 14th, Ash Best in 19th. I can only assume Ash Best got an invalidation early on. So for those of you watching, what have you made of the qualifying session so far, and what is your opinion of this track? Is this a favourite track of yours, or is this a track you would rather get out of the way as quickly as possible? After Baku, of course, we go to Spain, and then the Monaco Grand Prix in round 6, which should be very interesting and should really test these drivers even more than the street circuit like this. So it's looking very busy out there. Just over a minute of the session to go. Well, it looks like Frisky's not going to be coming out again. Still in the pit lane. Anyone else opting not to... Yeah, it looks like just Frisky is the only driver. So Frisky seems happy enough with 11th place. Probably won't be there by the end of the session. So I tell you what, it's going to be hard to keep an eye on everybody, but the likes of Blizzard, Lambo, Joom, your top 3 in the championship. KB Killer the championship lead as well. So at China, I think we got maybe a little bit of sense of what the pecking order in this championship could be. But I do think we're going to start to find out, you know, who the drivers will be challenging for the season. But you know, there's so many races to go. You know, we have, you know, we're going all the way to March. 21 rounds of this ILR championship. So at this early stage, you know, no one's out of the championship at this early stage. Oh, and who is that? That's Lambo. Lambo has just gone absolute. That is at turn 3, I believe. So Lambo's qualifying is over. So that's one rival for Blizzard that's gone. So here's VSR Francis. So the likes of Francis, Joom and KB Killer, Leon, they potentially have a chance to join Blizzard on the front row if they can't beat its time. So there's Francis. Gran retires from the session. So some early invalidations or crashes maybe. And KB Killer gets onto the front row, and I think there's been a bit more teamwork from the McLaren pairing. So McLaren, again, showing great teamwork. I think KB Killer has got onto the front row. I'm not sure if Blizzard's going to carry on, but I'm going to try and find Francis again, because Francis was heading towards the end of the lap. What about Joom, actually? Where's Joom? Joom is behind Francis, so let's keep an eye on these two. Oh, and a bit of the rear. Getting a bit squirmy at the back for the Williams driver. So now then, Francis gets a decent exit from the final corner. Nickel Blocks puts the Ferrari into third. Just over half a second behind Blizzard's time, so that's a good effort from the Ferrari driver. So Francis heading for the line. What can Francis do? But watch out for Joom just behind. Francis crosses the line. It's only good enough for 8. Joom moves up to 4th. Ash Best is in 10th position. Has he got another lap in him, or was that it? Cliffy has ended up in 18th, so as ever, he's probably going to have to try that alternate strategy. To anyone else out there, no, I think that is the end of your qualifying session. So it's a McLaren lockout here at Baku. And I think both for those laps, Blizzard and KB gave each other a tow for both of their respective fastest runs. So that just underlines why they are the best team in this division at the moment. Some nice experience points for me. So here's your grid then. Blizzard and KB Killer, front row lockout for McLaren. Nickel Blocks with his best qualifying performance of the season so far. Joom in 4th, Lambo in 5th, Leon in 6th, Kalik in 7th, Francis in 8th, Lewis in 9th, TGG Poe in 10th, Ash Best, Gernan, It's Me, Matt Tebos, Bugatti in 15th, Frisky in 16th, CC Brain in 17th, Cliffy in 18th, Costa in 19th, and Pletix in 20th, who retired earlier. But noticeably, look at that, the reigning champion Lewis, the only driver in the top 10 on the Super Softs. Right you are, Lickle, you did. Apologies. It's hard to remember all these leagues and races sometimes. So it looks like we have no sign of rain here for this Azerbaijan Grand Prix. 26 laps then of this 6 kilometre circuit to go. And a few people joining the chat to watch this particular race. Just a reminder, Andy is not here tonight, he's not feeling too well. But he will be back for next week's race, I'm sure. But I hope he's doing well and having a watch of this race. And hopefully this lobby will load up okay. You can feel the tension rising, and you know there's a few drivers on this grid who haven't had the best of starts of this season. They'll really be looking to get their season started. You know, the likes of Lewis, the reigning champion. And you know, Lickleblocks mentioning, you know, he was pole position in Australia, but hasn't scored a point this season. 2 non-finishes, so he's in 3rd. So he'll be looking. Doesn't matter even if he can't beat the McLaren, just to get some points on the board. There are 4 drivers who haven't scored points yet. So there we go, the Blizzard and KB Killer. I mean, what a magnificent qualifying session. Something out of 1998 with the 2 McLarens on the front row. What the McLaren team of 2018 would kill for a front row lockout these days. But you know, McLarens and Ferraris in the top 3, that is a very old school look to the front 2 rows. But watch out for Joom, you know, he showed at Bahrain what he can do with that race victory. Now let's have a look at what the tyres are outside the top 10. Lewis inside the top 10 is on the Super Softs, outside the top 10. As I suspected, most of them going for the Super Softs. So Ashbest, Conan, Ismi, Matt Tebos, Bugatti and Frisky, Cliffy and Costa on the Super Softs. But interestingly, CC Brain and Pletix have gone for the soft compound. Pletix retiring very early on in the qualifying session, so I don't know if that was a crash or maybe he chose to start from the back of the grid. It's a fairly wide turn 1 compared to some of the tracks we've visited already this season, but it can concertina considerably. So they are going to have to be quite careful. Now, compared to a lot of other street circuits that we have on this calendar, Baku is surprisingly forgiving in that there's quite a lot of runoff areas if you do get it wrong. It's really the castle section and the section after that which can be quite dangerous for your race. But, you know, the opening set of corners, big runoff areas there. As the McLarens then get ready to line up on the front row of the grids, they'll be looking to cover off Lickleblocks, who is usually fast off the line. Here's a grid then. They're going to be waiting on the grid for quite a while, so that's not going to do their tyre temperatures any good. And yeah, good to see Ali is watching the race, so hopefully this will help cheer you up a little bit. So here we go then. It's quite a far camera angle actually from here. With Blizzard, KB Killer on the front row, Lickle, Joom behind, Lambo and Leon on row 3. So who is going to go into the first European race on a high next week? 5 red lights here at Baku. And lights out, and away we go. The 2 McLarens getting a decent start, but look out for Joom just behind, who gets a brilliant start and takes Lickle for 3rd position. So Blizzard maintaining 1st place from KB Killer, Joom just behind. Can Joom do anything to pressure the 2 McLarens? Not for the time being. What about Lickle? Lickle is under attack from the Williams of Francis. But watch out for TG Lambo just behind, who had that disappointing end to qualifying, and he's still in 6th position. So it looks like a fairly clean start so far, at least in the top 10. I couldn't see anything going on at the back. But the top 3 already getting a little bit of a gap to Lickle, so already out of DRS range of Lickle blocks. Does Lickle have damage perhaps? But here we go then, flying into the beginning of sector 2 and then into the castle section. Is anyone going to, you know, tap these ancient walls of any carbon fibre? No, not for the time being, as we get a nice camera shot of Joom looking at the rear of KB Killer's McLaren ahead. So are the McLarens in communication with each other? Are they going to hold station for the time being, or are they going to go racing? We'll find out shortly. But teamwork has been the name of the game for those two drivers so far, but I dare say if their title rivals later in the season, that will go out the window. But for the time being, they didn't really challenge each other at the start. But to be fair, Blizzard did get a better runaway. So at the moment, Joom is the main threat to the two McLarens. But look at the McLarens going. I mean, they are storming away. Let's have a look down the order a little bit. What about Francis? Yeah, Francis may be under threat from Lambo. Lambo seems to have a bit more straight line speed, but he has the toe, of course. Here comes Lambo. Can Lambo challenge Francis for 5th place? No, bit too far back for the time being, as Gran pits from 14th, and I think he's got damage, and Frisky does as well. Frisky had a great race in China last week, and it started horribly wrong for him. Now Baku, of course, if we get a retirement, high possibility of a safety car here, and that would certainly spice things up. But so far, no one's had enough damage to retire from the race. And Lickle Blocks now continuing to drop back, rather alarmingly, from the top 3. It's now 1.6 seconds behind Joom, but with Francis and TG Lambo right behind him. And we have to also mention Lewis, who started 9th, has moved up to 7th on the Supersoft compound. So as those Ultrasofts sort of wear out, he could be a factor in this race. So we will have a look when this lap is over. We'll have a look at the winners and losers, but Lewis certainly one of the winners so far, gaining 2 positions from the start of the race as Lambo negotiates the castle section for the second of 26 rotations of this Azerbaijan Grand Prix in Inside Line Racing 1. So at the moment, the top 3 still within DRS range of each other. Lickle's actually had a decent sector 2, and he's actually closed half a second back onto Joom. He's got to try and get back within DRS range because, you know, for the time being, and Yellow's in sector 2, and Calic's had an incident somewhere, but we're going to just keep an eye on this. So, yeah, Lickle Blocks closing on Joom again, getting into the toe. Lambo, no, it's sort of as you were in terms of the top 7. Now, what about the 2 Toro Rossos? The 2 Toro Rossos seem to be quite close to each other. Here we go then. This is the battle for 8th position as Blizzard sets the fast lap. Race control enables the DRS. Here comes Poe. Poe diving down the inside of Leon, forcing Leon wide. Luckily that runoff area is there. They're still going to go side by side into turn 2. Oh, and a massive lock by Leon. Huge lock up the brakes, and he has lost a place to It's Me. And a virtual safety car. Costa has retired from the race. That's your first retirement. Now they've got to adhere to that delta. As if anyone close enough to pit. Weirdly, that could favour Calic. I don't know if Calic had damage. Let's see what happened to Calic. Did he get damaged somewhere? Peels off into the garage. Well, he must have spun there. No wing damage, but he's effectively got a free pit stop. But no, it's already restarted, so hasn't really worked too well for him. I have noticed in F1 2018 when there is a virtual safety car, it is quite, and in all that, Francis has passed Lickle Blocks. So I wonder if Francis caught Lickle Blocks a bit. Oh, and Francis gets a big snap of oversteer and he slams into the wall. Now allow Lickle to go side by side. Oh, this is absolutely dangerous to go side by side into this corner. Who's going to yield? Neither of them. Oh, and Lickle somehow avoided the wall. That is a magnificent overtake from Lickle Blocks, because that is not normally a place you would ever overtake, but very brave, ballsy stuff from the Ferrari driver. But now they've ended up 2 seconds behind. But we're going to have to go to Joom, because Joom is closing in onto the back KB Killer. So McLaren, who led the early laps here, are now under real threat from the Bahrain race winner. Joom will easily pass, and right behind there, Francis trying to come back at Lickle. It's a fantastic, and look at Lewis round the outside, runs really wide, and he actually takes 6th position. Lickle still defending 4th place from the Williams of Francis. So that virtual safety car, it's really come to life after that. Francis with massive overspeed advantage onto Lickle blocks. Lickle covers the inside. And now Francis is going to go down. It's another unusual place to go for a move, and that's going to allow Lewis to come alongside Francis. Is he going to try and take both of them? No, that would be madness. But look, side by side, Lewis and Francis go, and Lewis is going to move up to 5th. Well, as it stands, this is a very promising situation for Lewis. After the 3 races he's had in this season so far, he's now up to 5th, which would be by far his best result of the season so far, if you say so. But given the strategies on, it could be even better for him. Well, some angry team radio from the Force India team. Apparently Costa had an incident with Ash Best. We didn't see that, but that is why he retired, and that is why we had the virtual safety car. So, you know, Otmar down at Force India not happy about the situation, and I'm sure he'll have some words to say about the Renault team after the race. But Lewis now closing in onto the back of Lickle blocks. Can he launch an attack on the Ferrari driver? Let's have a look then. Yeah, Lickle not activating his battery at all. He must have run out of battery just defending against Francis, and I think Lewis is going to swarm by. Well, and as Lickle blocks picks then, managed 4 laps on those Ultras. Obviously the Ultrasoft runners pitting quite early, unless Lickle has damage, of course. Matt Tebos then in 12th position. Just want to see if Lickle comes in, as does Leon. So quite early pit stops then for the top 3. So at the moment it's a McLaren sandwich for Joom in the top 3, and then Lewis 3.1 seconds behind KB Killer. Let's get back to the front then. So now Lambo launching an attack on Francis. And just behind these two, TGG Poe and It's Me, looking to make this a 4-way scrap for 5th place. Oh, and Lambo gets it horribly wrong. Into the wall he goes, and he loses 2 places. That's a horrible moment for the Haas driver, and he's going to have to try and get this car, nurse it back to the pits. Lambo, did those Ultrasofts just die on him completely, or was it just a genuine mistake? And now Cliffy, on the alternate strategy from outside the top 10, is now into 8th position. And It's Me retires from the race. Oh, he's had a moment just before at the end of Sector 2, and that's your 2nd retirement, and that would surely be a safety car. Will we get one? Because that could really throw up this race. Would certainly favour the leaders if a safety car happened now. So that's your 2nd retirement off the race. So here comes Poe. Can Poe close the gap to Francis? Looks like Francis is about to peel off into the pits, and yes he does. Good toe from Poe behind. And KB Killer also pits, as does Joom. So Blizzard carries on. Maybe he thinks the traffic's not going to favour him. So what's it going to be then? It's going to be soft tyres for Joom and KB Killer as we begin lap 6 of this Azerbaijan Grand Prix in Inside Line Racing Tier 1. And they're going to come out in 7th and 8th respectively, just ahead of Ash Best. So actually a relatively clear road for Joom and KB Killer, so that's good news for those two. And that may allow them to undercut Blizzard. So your top 10 at the moment: Blizzard, Lewis, TGG Poe, Cliffy, Bugatti, CC Brain, Joom, KB Killer, Ash Best and Lickle blocks. So none of the top 6 have pitted yet. Ash Best has not pitted either. Matt Tebos just pitting from 18th position, so it's not been a good race for that Haas driver so far. Any battles on track at the moment. There's Ash Best then. Has Ash Best pitted actually? No, he has not. So he's on 5-lap-old Supersoft tyres. But you know, those Supersofts will still be in decent condition at the moment, so they're not going to go off anytime soon. So that may allow him to close the gap to KB Killer and make a challenge on him for 8th. And KB Killer, he doesn't really want to get caught up in a battle here, because he's trying to keep up with Joom here. And we'll go straight to Cliffy, because Cliffy is closing in on the Toro Rosso of TGG Poe. And TG Bo gets a horrible turn of speed there, and he's going to be an absolute sitting duck. But I think TG Po is about to peel off into the pit lane to get rid of those ultra softs, or is he? No, he's not. So just a genuine mistake there has cost him a place. So now we've got 2 super soft runners in the top 5, or top 3 I should say. And now look at that, Joom and CC Brain going into combat here. CC Brain on the alternate soft strategy, locks the tyres again. He's trying to defend furiously from KB Killer behind. Joom rather. So Joom is going to try and get this move done, which could be quite important for his race, and he does. A good, solid move there. And meanwhile behind, Liquor Blocks has pitted, and he's come out just ahead of Ash Best. So now Blizzard going quite deep on these ultra soft tyres, so let's see how he's doing. He's at the front at the moment. Heading into the end of Sector 2. He's got a comfortable lead at the moment, but he is being undercut all the time. Yeah, so CC Brain is out of the race. He's had an incident in Sector 2. They weren't far behind. So has he had an incident at the castle? Yes, he has. He has binned it at the castle. The ancient rules of Baku have claimed a victim. Goodness me. And it's a virtual safety car, and that is going to... Has Blizzard passed the pit lane? No, he hasn't. And that is going to be absolutely brilliant for Blizzard. And will anyone else take advantage? Yes, Blizzard will take advantage. But how long will the virtual safety car be out for? Cliffy is going to pit as well. So Lewis has come in, and he's now in contention for a podium. As long as that virtual safety car keeps going, Poe pits as well. Joom is just on the main straight. He's having to adhere to the delta. So will Lewis get out ahead of Joom? Where is Joom? Joom's rounding the first corner. He does. Lewis is in second position. He has got ahead of everybody. So this has worked out absolutely brilliantly for the reigning champion. He does deserve some luck, especially after what happened in the first race at Australia. And now the virtual safety car, I think, is about to end. And here we go then. We go racing again. And Joom is right behind Lewis, and that could be a fantastic scrap for second place. And Joom's got a 2.6 second advantage to KB. So the top 3 have really left the McLaren drive behind, which is unfortunate. So the championship leader, you know, he's in 4th place, so it's still good points. And his nearest championship rival, TGD Lambo, is outside the points at the moment. So it's actually the big winner at the moment appears to be Joom. If Joom can get past Lewis, I believe he would take the lead of the championship. Now Lewis is going to have fresh softs, and in theory should be able to go to the end of the race. So let's see any big battles brewing at the moment. Well, this is one of them. Now what about Cliffy? He's currently in 6th position. He took advantage of the virtual safety car as well, and he's in 6th. So Lewis was started 9th on the super softs. Let's have a quick look then who the big winners and losers are. So here we go then. Cliffy's gained 12 places from the start of the race. That virtual safety car was really timely. Let's go have a look at Joom. Is Joom able to close at all on Lewis at the moment? No. So he's just biding his time. He's got DRS, but he's getting ever closer. We'll go straight back to Francis, because Francis is a little bit closer to the back of the Mercedes of Cliffy. Side by side, they're going to go into the first corner. Who's going to get the job done? Oh, Francis has run really wide. They're still going to be side by side. Going into turn 2. Don't forget there's another DRS zone, so Francis can use that to get a bit more speed. Cliffy trying to squeeze him a little bit. Gave him just enough room, so that's really good racing from both drivers. But Cliffy actually getting really good drive out of turn 2. And able to keep ahead for now, so that's good defending from Cliffy. That is all the while going to allow the 2 Toro Rossos of Leon and Poe to close the gap. So, you know, there's quite a gap between Poe and Goenland, so really the main position changes are going to be happening in the top 10 for the big points. But that virtual safety car has certainly favoured the likes of Cliffy and Lewis massively. 9/10 of a second exactly between Lewis and Joom in the battle for second, but we're going to just keep an eye on this battle for 6th for the time being. will try and flick between them as they go through the DRS zone. And now Leon on the super soft tyres, interestingly. Has he pitted yet? Yes, he has. So he's pitted for the super softs, but that would suggest he is on a two-stop strategy. But again, the tyre wear isn't huge here, so you might be able to get these to the end, but they'll be quite poor by the end of the race. So I think your main battle here is going to be between Cliffy and Francis for 6th position. Joom has actually fallen out of DRS range of Lewis up ahead. Lewis has a couple of laps advantage in terms of the tyre wear, and Lewis sets the fastest lap of the race, or 1:40.867. Well, whatever he's been doing since the last race at China is certainly working here today. Francis then trying to get past Cliffy, but not able to do so for the time being. Leon's actually dropped back at well over a second behind, so he must have made a mistake. But here they go then. Mercedes versus Williams. This battle could carry on for several laps. Francis getting closer and closer. Cliffy almost half moving to the inside. Almost felt like he had to defend it, but I don't think Francis was ever going to go for a lunge there. So we've seen some really good action so far in this Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Round 4 of 21 of this season. A long way to go. At the moment, Blizzard is on for back-to-back victories in ILR1. He'll be the first driver to get 2 wins this season. And with TTG Lambo out of the points, Joom in 3rd and KB Killer currently in 4th position. I think by my reckoning, Blizzard would be taking the lead of the championship. He's on 40 points, KB Killer is on 48. And Lambo is on 45, he's out of the points. Apologies, my mic just died for a second there. And yeah, as we just saw, Leon just had a huge incident just before the end of Sector 2, and he's now dropped out of the points. So that makes it slightly less complicated for Francis and Cliffy, who are being chased down by the Toro Rosso driver. Francis still can't get past Cliffy, so it must be similar straight line speeds for these two drivers. And going down pits then. Oh, what's that? I wonder if he got caught up in that incident. Is this a wing change for Gonan? Yes, it is. So the Ferrari driver drops out of the points. So TGG Lambo is back into the points. And there is a battle brewing then for 9th position. So Lambo may be in damage limitation mode at the moment, trying to recover as many points as he can. This would be by far his lowest position of the season if he were to finish here. He finished 2nd in Australia, 3rd in Bahrain and 4th in China. So this would be a big drop off in form. He may have been caught up in some incidents earlier on in the race, but you know, in qualifying he made a real mess of his final run, which put him down the field, and that, you know, could prove to be the reason why he's in this position at the moment. So everybody who has still in this race has stopped. 2 stops for Gonan and Leon. So let's have a look at Joom. Joom is very close to the back of Lewis, the reigning champion. Runs a bit wide there, may have got a warning, but yeah. 3-second gap then between Blizzard and Lewis. Blizzard with that fantastic pole position time and simply hasn't looked back since the start of the race. And even the virtual safety car fell perfectly for him. He was just coming up to the pit lane, virtual safety car, thank you very much. And you know, he's probably just going to gradually edge out a gap to Lewis. So really he's just got to keep it on the track, and he is going to seal another maximum 25 points in this IL1 championship. Let's go back to Francis. Again, Francis still unable to get ahead of Cliffy. Okay, but this is a battle here. Lambo passing Bugatti then for 9th position. Can he get the car to slow down? Yes, he can. Straight back to Francis. Francis again gets close, but it's almost like he needs an extra 200 meters. I guess the final straight being over a kilometer. Let's just he is sort of running down the battery of Cliffy though, so maybe he's just got to bide his time, because eventually if he can get a good run out of the end of Sector 2, he should be able to have a run on Cliffy with more battery. But he's just going to have to play the waiting game just a little bit. So a 3-second gap between the top two. Joom is kind of floating in DRS range of Lewis, but isn't really able to challenge him on the straights. So it's kind of a stalemate between Lewis and Joom. And then KB Killer, it's kind of in no man's land. He's not really near the top three. He's not really under threat from Lickle at the moment. But I'm sure Lickle would be delighted to get 5th place given the results he got in the first 3 races. That would be a solid haul of points, and that would finally get his season going. And you know, Francis, you know, he had a 6th place last week at China, so if he can get past Cliffy, that would equal his best result of the season so far. Joom back in DRS range again. Is he close to Lewis at all? Not particularly. Any other battles we can see? Let's have a look at the battle down between Pletix and Kalik. So Pletix just passing Kalik for 13th position, but now Kalik can come back at the Williams driver, and they're going to go side by side. I thought Pletix was going to squeeze him towards the wall, but look how close they are, banging wheels. Somewhat reminiscent of Mansell and Senna all those years ago. So close. Pletix is going to try and dive back, so temporarily Kalik getting the place back. He's got the better traction out of turn 1, but Pletix will have the inside. So who's got DRS for this next section? Trying to chase back Pletix. This is a nice little battle. Yellow's in sector 1, and Ash Bess has he come together with, he may have come together with Frisky just then. So Ash Bess, the Australia race winner, having another torrid day for Renault. He's made contact with Frisky, I believe, or maybe he went off somewhere, but he's now dropped down to 12th position. So it is not going well for Ash Best for the time being. Let's go back to the front then. Joom chasing Lewis. Lewis has way less battery than Joom, so that could be a factor later on. And it looks like Kalik's had an incident in sector 2. He's just dropped to the back of the field, so he's now 17th place. So one Sauber driver on for a podium, the other having a pretty forgettable race to say the least. Lap 14 then of this 26th lap Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Looks like there's absolutely no threat of rain whatsoever, so I think it's going to be sunny from here now on to the end of this race after 26 laps. So Joom, you know, he's saved his battery very well, and maybe tactically he's trying to basically drain the life out of that Red Bull battery and then go on for an attack, you know, in a few laps time. And you know, there's a lot of strategy to using the battery in this game, as we've already seen in some of the races. So perhaps playing the waiting game is going to be Joom's best chance. Oh, Lewis loses it in the cast section. He's taken off half his wing. You just saw that slight contact on the right, and it pitched him into the left, into the wall. Half his wing gone, and now Joom will move up into 2nd position, and it's a huge mistake. His entire wing's gone, just as Lewis was finally having a race where he could really be deserving of big points. He makes a mistake. This track can catch you out at any moment, and KB Killer is going to be gifted 3rd position. Lewis will have to pit. He'll have fresh tyres to the end, but that's going to be no consolation whatsoever. KB Killer going round the outside. Oh, KB Killer almost, with the vortice of the dirty air as he went round the outside, almost losing control of it himself. But what a real shame for Lewis. This season has just been a nightmare for him so far. He comes into the pit, and it's going to be a wing change and the end of his chances of being on the podium, unless there's a safety car. At least he's still running, but yeah, it's just been an awful day for Lewis now. Up to that point, it had been a magnificent race for him, but luckily there are still plenty of races to go in this season after today. So then, your top 3 then, now Blizzard, Joom and KB Killer, as it was early on in the race. Where will Lewis come out? Will Lewis come out in the points at least? Yes, he will. So he's on fresh super softs, so he'll be able to chase after Bugatti. He may be able to get up to 8th place perhaps, because Lambo and Bugatti are not too far up the road from him. Let's have a look at Cliffy. So Cliffy then has closed in onto the back of Lickle, and Francis has really dropped back from Cliffy, so it may have had an incident somewhere. So we got a Mercedes versus Ferrari situation here in the battle for 4th place. The field's quite spread out now, so at the moment, unless there's a safety car, it could be quite an anticlimactic race. But there's still a couple of battles brewing here. I suspect Lewis, on those fresh supersofts, assuming he makes no mistakes, will be able to quickly catch his teammate and pass him. And then he'll try to get past Lambo to get just some points at least. But at best, he's only going to improve his best result of the season by 1. 9th was his best result from the first 3 races at Bahrain, but that is nowhere near what he would have wanted, having been running in 2nd place after a great first stint and then a really well-timed virtual safety car. So now Lickle running in 4th position now, by far his best result of the season this would be. Now he's got to try and defend from a very experienced Cliffy, who once again is making the alternate strategy work. Outside the top 10, started on the Supersofts, is now in 13th. Yellow's in sector 2. Kalik has retired with the race. For a moment I thought it was going to be Blizzard, because he was quite far up the road. So we've now got 4 retirements. Will we get a safety car because of that Sauber driver's retirement? Doesn't seem that way. Here comes Cliffy, trying to force a mistake out of the Ferrari driver ahead. Quite a bit of debris in the car section. Good thing it's not on simulation damage, otherwise there might be some punches. So now Blizzard has a 4.4 second advantage to Joom. I think Joom looks likely he'll have to settle for 2nd place the way it's going. Still quite a few laps to go, so we don't really know how far these softs will go. They all pitted way before lap 10, and Lewis is really getting close now to the back of Bugatti, so we'll have to have a look at that in a few moments. But first we're going to see, and Lewis has already passed him actually, so here we go then. Cliffy going to try and pass Lickle Blocks. Lickle Blocks will cover the inside. He's going to have to dive late. Please give me a better camera angle. Here we go then. Cliffy easily passing the second, but can Lickle come back at Cliffy? And they're only 2.5 seconds behind KB Killer, to be honest. Oh, Lickle getting a snap of oversteer. So yeah, his tyre's not looking particularly good on Lickle at the moment, unless he's picked up some damage somewhere. But Cliffy, can Cliffy get onto the podium? He's gained 14 places from the start of the race, and he's on for a podium perhaps, but I haven't seen too many penalties so far. Frisky pitting then, so he's had contact somewhere. Lewis passing for 9th position. He's got 3 seconds to make up to Lambo, so that potentially could be a battle down the line. So Cliffy moving up to 4th position then. He's now looking to chase after KB Killer for the final podium place. But can Lickle keep up the Mercedes and maybe come back at him when they go onto the main straight at the end of this lap? Just have a quick look at Bugatti. So Bugatti has been overtaken by his teammate. Lewis was 3 seconds behind Lambo. Oh, and Bugatti slams hard into the castle section. May have got significant damage there. Red Bulls have not had a good time at that section today. Let's go straight back to Lickle Blocks. Lickle Blocks now not giving up this 4th position, and both drivers are now almost within 2 seconds of KB Killer. So KB Killer's going to be looking over his shoulder a bit. Cliffy going to cover the inside, but look at the overspeed that Lickle has. So Lickle not giving up at all. He's going to try and retake 4th position, and he does. So fair play to Lickle. He got overtaken, he put his head down, and now he's back out in front. And Francis pits. So, is that a wing change for Francis? Yes, it is. So Francis has made a mistake somewhere, and he was running so well in the top 10. And now he could be dropping out of the top 10. Actually, no, I think he'll get out in front of Ash Best. So he should be okay. But let's go back to the battle for 4th place, which could become a three-way battle for 3rd. And today we just saw Lewis set the fastest lap of the race, and he's already caught to the back of Lambo. What an absolute shame for Lewis, since he was on such a good podium result there. Liquid blocks. You can just tell how little downforce some of these cars are running when their back end is constantly snaking, trying to do it. I don't know. Now I've heard somewhere that Blizzard may have picked up some damage, which is why the gap between Blizzard and Doom is starting to come down. So maybe the battle for the lead isn't over just yet. Oh, Lickle just hits the wall there. Wasn't the biggest contact, so he might have gotten away with it. But both McLarens have suddenly lost a bit of pace, and that could be because of damage. It looks like it's only a matter of time before Lewis gets past Lambo. So let's have a look at this then, and it might happen even before the end of Sector 2. He's going to get the car slowed down here. Oh, and Lambo going massively wide. This should be absolutely simplicity itself for the Red Bull driver as they fly through the final sector. Can Lambo do anything to defend this place? Well, he's not covering the inside. I think he knows the jig is up. Here comes the Red Bull. Lewis will move up to 7th position as he attempts to at least get some points back. But we'll have to go straight back to Cliffy, because Cliffy once again right on the back of the Ferrari. This is turning into a very good battle between these two. They're now only 1.6 seconds behind KB Killer. So we had a bit of a lull in this race, didn't we? But now it's really coming alive again. Imagine if we get a safety car now. But they have been on these tyres a long time. Let's just have a look. Look, over 14 laps of Liquor Blocks. Oh, Liquor Blocks hits the castle section. You saw it right there. And oh my goodness. He made a right meal of that. And Liquor Blocks, oh, you just got to feel for him. It's his 3rd retirement from 4 races. He just needed to get the car home, and he's once again, I just feel for him, because he was driving a really good race there. But you know, once again, the castle section, there is no room for error in that part of the track. If you get your steering angle wrong, just even an inch, you are in the wall and it's over. You're going to damage your wing at the very least. And unfortunately for Liquor Blocks, that is the end of his race. That's the 5th retirement then for this particular Azerbaijan Grand Prix. And Joom is now 2.6 seconds behind Blizzard. But that incident actually really favoured KB Killer, because Cliffy had to take avoiding action of that Ferrari, and it's lost him a ton of time. He's now 3 seconds behind KB Killer, so KB Killer may be able to hold on to 3rd position now. Any other battles going on? Let's have a look at CSR Leon. CSR Leon is very close to Matt Tebos in the battle for 12th. No, neither of these drivers are going to get points today, as Francis sets the fastest lap of the race. And Bugatti, unfortunately, once again, is probably going to be closed in on someone on the super sub. So here comes Leon. Leon's going to storm past Matt Tebos. Can Matt Tebos come back? No, Matt Tebos didn't really have anything to fight with there. So let's go on board with Blizzard. I just want to see how he's doing at the moment, because we've been told that he may have damage, which is why he's losing time. It's the car side. Oh, and again, he grinds up against the wall. Get the sense there's a few nerves jangling in the McLaren driver. It's gone all his way so far. Pole position. He's lost 3/10 because of that contact with the wall. Can Joom get up to Blizzard? Can he sniff a potential 2nd victory? Because it seems like only one of these two drivers can win the race now. Not close enough yet, so we're going to pay attention to Bugatti, who's now under threat from Francis, who, like Lewis not long ago, he just struck the wall. These low downforce setups just make it so difficult to negotiate some of these braking zones. So can Francis now get onto the back of the Red Bull? Building the speed to well over 200 miles an hour with the toe. He's getting closer. He's getting closer. The Red Bull, it's such a wide road. It may as well be as wide as the Thames, because he's easily been overtaken by Francis. Up into 8th position, the Williams driver goes. Literally no chance for Bugatti to defend that. Meanwhile behind, Matt Tebos is coming back, and this is a potential free wide situation here. Look at this, free wide they go. Oh, this is brilliant. We'll turn the huddle for a moment. Who's going to come out on top here? Frisky, Matt and CSR Leon giving a formation of 3 on the main straight. I'm glad we switched to that. And Frisky up to 12. Matt Tebos 13th, Leon in 14th. Frisky on the fresh super soft tyres. Oh, don't want to switch to that point. Here we go then. Leon trying to get back past Matt Tebos. It's now 2.2 seconds between the top 2. It's coming down. Will we get a battle for the lead on the final lap of the race? But this is good entertainment for the time being. So Leon desperately trying to get back past Matt Tebos. He passed him a couple of laps ago, but then Frisky kind of interrupting their mighty battle here for 13th place. Frisky had a really good race in China last week in 5th, but he's not going to score any points today. But at least he had the nice pleasure of getting a double overtake on the main straight. The Blizzard clearly seems to be struggling a bit more now. I'm going to stick with this battle just for a few more moments. But Lewis is now 2.7 seconds behind TG Poe. He's lapping far quicker than TG Poe. So he could still yet get 5th position from this race. So we're going to stick with this battle just for a little bit longer. So he puts the battery up to 3. Is he going to put it up to 4? He's going to use the DRS. He's not quite as close as he was a couple of laps ago when he passed Matt Tebos. He's still going to have a chance. Matt Tebos is going to try and cover the inside. A late move to the inside, which he's entitled to do. Leon will go around the outside. They're still side by side. If they go into turn 2. Lock of the tyres by Leon. This is a nice scrap here for 13th place. Leon is edged ahead, but Matt Tebos will have the inside for the following corner at the end of the second DRS straight. Can Tebos get it slowed down? Yes, he does. Good defending. No switchback opportunity for Leon. It's now 1.2 seconds between the top 2, so we're going to switch to them immediately. The race leader has had it all his way, but now he is under direct threat from June behind. It's all going wrong for the McLaren driver. More damage. Surely. He's missing half his wing. He's missing half his front wing. And surely now June has a golden chance to follow up a victory at Bahrain 2 rounds ago with a victory here at Azerbaijan. Dramatic scenes here at Baku. For so long it looked like Blizzard had it all his own way, but now he's going to be fighting a mighty challenge. And he strikes the wall again. He's risking finishing at all the way he's hitting these walls. A Formula 1 car can't take this much abuse. Look how painfully slow Blizzard goes through that section of corners, and now he's got to try and negotiate the castle section, but I just don't think he's going to have a prayer of defending this unless Joom gets damaged himself or has as much damage. But judging by the cornering they're doing, I think Joom has light damage at best. Oh, look how close he's getting to him now. Blizzard trying to desperately hold on, but he may have to settle for second in the end or risk losing it all. So Joom with a golden opportunity here. Here they go then, into turn 15. Oh, look how close they're getting again. Blizzard just not able to get onto the power because of the lost downforce he's got on the right side of the car. So Joom, he has bid his time, and now all of a sudden he's got a chance to win this race. And Blizzard once again striking the wall. The lack of downforce, but he's got no choice but to give it full welly to try and stay ahead. Here comes Joom. Can Joom get past? They're going to go side by side into the opening corner. I've had that terrible camera angle too many times, but Blizzard, to his credit, defending gamely despite the damage he's got on his car. Free to go then here at Baku. And Joom hits the back of the McLaren. He's got more opportunity. Lewis has just overtaken TG Poe for 5th place, but we're going to stick to this. And Cliffy is on the back of KB Killer as well. So both McLarens under real threat, but we're going to stick with this battle for the lead. Look how slow Blizzard is going through these corners. It's almost like a Baku version of Senna versus Mansell in '92. one wounded car with worn tyres against a quicker car behind. But Blizzard using every bit of the road to try and stop Joom from getting past. So, you know, this is impressive defending given the situation he's in. And even the Castle section, I think he did better than Joom just then. Just have a quick look at Cliffy behind, who's right on the back of the McLaren. McLaren were on for a 1-2 early on in this race, and now they could end up with only one car on the podium. You do feel that if Joom doesn't get this done, and oh, Blizzard hits the wall again, locks the tyres. I mean, Blizzard's resembled a pinball machine, the amount of times he's hit the wall the last few laps. And here comes Joom. Surely now Joom can close in on Blizzard. What? Yeah, Blizzard has plenty of battery, so in terms of straight line speed, he's actually doing okay. Just have a quick look at Cliffy. Cliffy's pulled alongside. Just going to look at Joom. Joom now trying to launch an attack on Blizzard gets the switch back. Blizzard's trying to squeeze him to the wall. He couldn't squeeze him enough. Here comes Joom. Side by side they go out of turn 2. Blizzard squeezed and squeezed until there was nothing more to squeeze, but Joom was saying, no, I'm having this position. I'm taking the lead of this race. Blizzard's trying to come back at him, and he's actually tapped him, and Joom's gone into the wall. Oh, Blizzard, that was optimistic, I have to say. I think that was a bit naughty from Blizzard, I have to say, but this raging battle continues, and meanwhile Cliffy has overtaken KB Killer, and he's now on the podium. What would be a sensational podium from outside the top 10. I'm not sure how much damage Joom got when he was pitched into the wall just then, but we've got half of this lap to go and one more lap here of this Baku International Circuit. And Cliffy, if these two drivers both have damage, Cliffy could still win the race. This is absolutely incredible. I mean, it's entirely possible one of those engines could go back to shoes. I just saw Bugatti retired such a sick retirement of the race, but this is going to the last lap. Joom desperately trying to get back on terms with Blizzard, but has he got damage after hitting the wall just then? It might affect his straight line speed. But here comes Joom. He's closing on the McLaren ahead. Cliffy not close enough to challenge at the moment. This could go all the way to the line of the final lap. Final lap then here at Baku. It's another dramatic race in ILR1, going right to the wire. Blizzard, Joom into the opening section of corners. Cliffy not really close enough yet, but he's still got a long lap to close up on these two. Anything's possible at this point. It could even go to a free wide situation on the final lap. Imagine that. But let's carry on with this. Joom is doing everything, and I mean everything he can to get past. And Blizzard, he's on the line at times of this defending. Don't forget, Blizzard's missing half his front wing, so the fact that he's even keeping the car on the road is pretty impressive. But he lost the position a couple of laps ago, and then he, went for a bit of an optimistic lunge and got the lead back as a result. But look at Cliffy. Cliffy is in DRS range. He is right there. They both go through the castle section. Cliffy has half a chance because I don't think his car's damaged, unlike the two cars ahead. The exit of turn 16, which we're about to come to after turn 15, is going to be so important. Here we go then, the exit of turn 16. Blizzard runs really wide, went off the track there. Where's Cliffy? Cliffy didn't get the best exit. I'm not sure he's going to be able to attack. But here comes Joom. Joom's got a good run, and he's going to use all the battery. This is going to the line. This is going to the line. Who's got the better speed? This is going to the line. Blizzard really blocking there. Joom's going to take it on the line. He's going to take it on the line, and he does. No, Blizzard gets it. Cliffy in third. Oh, how close was that? 0.007. Wow. Wow, what a race. Blizzard takes the victory of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Joom in second. Cliffy, probably the driver of the day with that podium, and he's gained so many positions today. But what an incredible race. 15 places gained by Cliffy, so surely driver of the day, and he nearly won the race right there at the death. And KB Killer with a good 4th position. Lewis recovered a 5th. It could have been so much better for Lewis. If he had not made that error, he could have even been winning this race, given the problems Blizzard had. You know, Blizzard really chopped Zoom on the final straight, but what a dramatic finale to that race. And that's got to be one of the closest finishes I've ever seen in a league race. 007, and it certainly was as exciting as a James Bond blockbuster in those final laps. Absolutely brilliant. So the rest of the top 10, Poe, Francis, Lambo, Ash Betts getting back into the points in the end, but a long way behind. Gran in 10th, them having points. Just a reminder, there's no podium interviews this evening because of the real Grand Prix that's starting shortly. But I think you will agree that was dramatic and thoroughly entertaining. Had a bit of a lull in the middle, but it is Blizzard who takes the victory here at Azerbaijan, just ahead of Joom and Cliffy behind. Becoming, well, is that the 4th? That is this, no, his 2nd victory of the season after China last week. Well, thoroughly deserving of the podium here. So here is your provisional result for ILR1, and my screen is not loading. Oh dear. I'm not sure we're going to get the results screen. It's black at the moment. Oh no, wait. I see a number. Oh dear, I think we've had a Codemasters Classic here. I don't think we're going to get the results screen. What I can tell you is that Blizzard won the race, and June was in 2nd, and Cliffy was in 3rd, and KB Killer was in 4th, and then Lewis W03, despite his incident in the car section, recovered really well to get 5th position. So I think we're going to have to end it there, but I think you'll agree that was a fabulous race, and we will see you next week at the same time at 5:30 for the Spanish Grand Prix, and I'm hoping Andy will be back, but I hope everybody enjoyed tonight's race. Thanks for watching, and see you next time on the Inside Line.